Hello folks, welcome to another Bitcoin market analysis by Inspocrypto. Today a little bit earlier than usual because Friday I have more time available. So let us directly start with a little summary about what happened this week. Maybe that's something I should add to the Friday analysis. If we check the economic calendar, we see we had directly Tuesday ECB consumer confidence. Wednesday was extremely so. It was really big because we had the ADP non-farm employment change, GDP, job openings, crude oil inventories, and of course the Fed Chair Powell speech, as you remember. The day after, also very exciting, core PCE price index indicating if inflation is going up or down, initial jobless claims, and ISM manufacturing PMI indicating a little bit how and what conditions are the industry at the moment. And today, just 27 minutes ago, non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate. Let us talk about each one, or at least, So consumer confidence, lifting up, even just tiny, but it was enough to show that everything is fine here at the moment. Non-farm employment changed, reduced, almost 70,000, but not a huge deal, so everything was fine. 50 minutes later, we received the last data related to the GDP indicating 2.9%. Previously, we had 2.6%, and they forecasted 2.7%, indicating that the economy in the USA is not shrinking in the third quarter. Instead, it's even lifting up more. Job opening, they forecasted 10,300,000. We had previously 10,687,000, and we had 10,334,000, so almost like forecasted. Everything is fine here as well. Crude oil inventories, they forecasted just minus 2.7 million barrels. Instead, we had minus 12.6 million barrels. I have explained where's the correlation. It has to do that the US also is just using their crude oil inventories to reduce the gas prices in the US, because of course you can imagine that's nothing that the people likes to have. Very expensive gas price in the US, much more than in Europe, but however. Thursday, then, we had the core PCE price index, usually an indicator for inflation, and previously we had 0.5%, forecasted 0.3%, we did even 0.2%. Also here indicating inflation is not dumping, but it's reducing. Not big, absolutely not, but okay. Initial jobless claims, 235K was forecasted, 241K we did just before, 225K we did. So also indicating less unemployment happening at the moment. So not big at all. The only thing ISM manufacturing PMI, we had previously 50.2, 49.8 was forecasted, 49 we did at the end, indicating manufacturing performance reducing. That's something that's not cool, absolutely not cool, because just also give us a sign that we have this global supply chain disruption at the same time, shrinking demand, and so on and so forth. So of course the manufacturing performance should decline then afterwards. So just 20 or right now 30 minutes ago, non-farm payrolls. So we had previously 284, they forecasted 200, and we received 263. That's much better than expected, while the unemployment rate is maintaining its level at 3.7%. So if we make a summary of all these data, that's indicating the whole environment is absolutely okay. So the whole economy can get a higher interest rate. It doesn't have any negative effect yet. So, of course, that's a signal for the Fed to say, okay, I mean, yes, we are not going to pivot because, everything is fine. We don't see any problem. Even the labor market looks absolutely healthy. If we start to check some data more in details, because I have mentioned that in the past, unemployment rate, all these statistics related to labor markets are, politicians love these statistics because they are so easy to redefine its interpretation, if you want to say that in that way, instead of use the word of manipulation. And if we check, for example, and that's what I just tweeted a few minutes ago, retail has a bigger impact related to the labor market. They are just reducing stuff in retails. That's something I was expecting because, they know exactly Christmas business is good. At the same time, they are reducing stuff. I mean, that's indicating that their pressure is rising. Why? Well, inflation. Instead of giving the customers one-to-one the price, including in inflation, it seems that some retailers are absorbing part of this inflation to attract customers. That will work until end of the year, because we know that's the main business month of the year, and afterwards they will stop with that. But we will see how big this year Christmas deal will be, because depends on that. At the end of in the beginning of next year, they will check the warehouses, and if they see something that is also absolutely usual, but in that case they will check how much stuff they still have in their warehouses, so they will start to reduce the prices much more and to sell them and try to attract customers. If that's not going to work, we start to talk about this deflationary trend, what I have mentioned several times, where that's my main expectation, that inflation will decline, not based on interest rate decisions by the Fed, but much more because of fear by customers. So that will change the consumer behavior. That means that people are, at the end of the month, they are noticing they have less money in their pockets. So of course they will spend less or rethink to make big investments or just big purchases. So that takes us to my scenario that next year inflation will decline and the Fed will reduce more their expectations to raise interest rates even more, indicating, not saying they will start with pivot. That means much more they will start to reduce the hikes of interest rates. So until we reached a level where we see that the inflation is coming more down in a higher pace, indicating, and I really hope that people will start to make the right questions and ask why inflation is then declining. Because the inflation will decline not based on interest rate decisions, but based on consumer behavior. And that brings us to the next phase, that's deflation. And deflation is hard. And deflation will bring us to the worst case scenario. If that happens, it will bring us to such kind of worst case scenario. What I would like to see, just to prevent that, is to fix the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict, something I doubt we can just that easy. I was reading an article where Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor of Germany, for example, was telling that almost he's looking forward to see some peace talks between Ukraine and Russia and to end the whole conflict so we we can go back to normal, indicating Germany wants again go back to Russia and make their energy deals, because of course they are noticing the whole European economy, or at least the German, is completely dependent on low price energy. So if we don't have that, no chance we can make any progress, any positive progress. At the same time, of course, the zero COVID policy by China, and I have mentioned that in my tweet where I have said, they are expecting such kind of reopen the factories and so on and so forth until March, but now they made a very interesting announcement related to the Formula One. They said they are going to cancel the Formula One race in China for mid of April because of the COVID policy. So indicating maybe we will see the zero COVID policy for longer in China, not until March, indicating the global disruption will maintain even longer. Good for the US because they are just absorbing the lack of demand of Venezuelan oil for them. So they are purchasing right now Venezuelan crude oil via Chevron, as I tweeted. But as soon as China starts to reopen again, in my opinion, all these agreements will end because, of course, Venezuela prefers much more to sell its crude oil to his ally, China, instead of the US. It's also a geostrategic decision then. However, in my opinion, we are on track. Nothing happens. Once again, Wall Street did a very good job to trap a lot of people with their wrong narrative of the pivot. Something I have mentioned many times, and unfortunately, I don't know, you will always find someone that's going to talk and to spread this wrong narrative. And I see that some people are really pissed off now, just saying, making stupid comments, in my opinion, very unprofessional, to say, okay, to stop hiking interest rates, we need to reduce our staff. So indicating that's, it sounds a little bit frustrated. It seems these guys didn't still are missing what's the topic of all of that. It seems they still think that the Fed is the main driver of the whole global economy, and I'm wondering a little bit about this kind of unprofessional statements. But however, it is what it is. We have talked about 30 minutes right now about that. I have mentioned I have started to trade today. That was almost 30 minutes before they launched the unemployment data, because I was observing that big guys have started to front run unloading. While I also noticed, and I have said this yesterday as well, that the Bitcoin balances or reserves on centralized exchanges were rising even more. I wouldn't say that's it. I wouldn't say, that was the dump and maybe up only. No, I'm not going to close. I just introduced 50% of my funds to the short. So I have a nice entry. The remaining 50% will wait, because I think we have to retest our breakout. If we retest the breakout, I will include or introduce the remaining 50% of my funds to the short. In my opinion, at the moment, it looks like Bitcoin is still following SPY, SPX. SPY, SPX will go down. SPY at the moment, we had here 394. In my opinion, it will retest that area. This time it will break. And DXY should start a new rally after that. If I check the economic calendar for next week, I don't see anything. We have next Friday PPI. That could be something interesting if, if we make until next Friday a bigger leg to the downside, Bitcoin retesting 15K, and then we need to see what's going to happen next. Initial jobless claims, crude oil inventories, and ISM non-manufacturing PMI for next week, in my opinion, not going to have a huge impact to the price. At the moment, everything looks like we had a nice bullish party. Now it's time for the bears. However, let us go, because now 15 minutes, but I think you are really good prepared now for the next week. Let us talk now about what's going to happen, what we can see related to our metrics. Well, as you see, oh, that's the wrong color, still from yesterday, it seems. As you see, we have here the weights ratio 1 day time frame. It's lifting up, not illustrated here yet. It should start to go up and have a break here in this channel. So indicating we will go up more and weights will send more Bitcoins to centralized exchanges. If we take a look, for example, I think I have to refresh the site here. So if we check the weights ratio 1 hour time frame, we can see here very well it was maintaining above of 80, something that's absolutely not critical at all. So it's maintaining that level, even pushing a little bit more up right now. Indicating 94, we had just before 100. Every time when we see such kind of moves, usually the price starts to decline, and that's what it did. Then they started to decline the weights ratio, indicating they are sending less Bitcoins to centralized exchanges, what usually means it will go up, and then they started once again to push, so usually it goes down, and that's what happened. So, however, as mentioned once again, that's just a beginning and a process. And today is Friday. We know weekends, nobody knows what will happen on weekends. So I would be extremely careful, but you should be ready for next week, in my opinion. Yeah, the remaining stablecoin supply, well, declined a lot, but it's what I said on CryptoCoin. I don't know exactly what kind of data they are using, and even here balances, stablecoin balances on centralized exchanges, nothing happening. The trend is a little bit negative, but very volatile. It goes down, then it goes up once again. So I think that has something to do with the next chapter we will see, because it correlates very well. As soon as we have distribution and they are cashing out, at the same time we are receiving stablecoins to absorb. And that's why it's that kind of it's showing such kind of volatility. So let us go forward. So yeah, as just mentioned, we had here 170 millions in inflows and 80 millions in outflows. They cashed out, but just before another 40 million. So they let the price, they let them distribute, and then they start to buy the dip, so just lower. It was very interesting because the front running was indicating a little bit, that these guys knew the data just before. They started to unload just before, while the price was lifting up, dumping into passive buy orders. And nobody knows who is behind, who is buying these passive orders. We will check later on what the market maker did, in my opinion, without to make any teaser. But in my opinion, the market maker started to reduce its balances as well. But we need to check. However, at the moment, nothing big indicating. We had here almost 1,150 Bitcoins and so on and so forth. And right now indicating they are absorbing them, 1,400 Bitcoin, so nothing big at all here, unfortunately. We can go directly to the next chapter. So if we take a look now, what's happening to the future market, let us start with funding rate. Funding rate at the moment just declining, indicating they are demanding more shorts. Open interest didn't recover since yesterday, the big dump we had there. Not really clear what happened there, why the open interest and the leverage ratio declined that much. However, since then, both are just neutral, like flat, like it's dead. I don't know what happened there, but doesn't look great, to be honest. And it matches, unfortunately, with the remaining data. If we check here, for example, I have to zoom a lot just because of the last big outflow. We see it's still everything below of 2000 bitcoins here related to derivative exchanges. Only outflows are sometimes bigger. For example, here that was 2500 bitcoins, but nothing big at all, absolutely not. And even here, I mean, stablecoin futures, usually it was very active, big volume, and the biggest here 100 million. That's since, I mean, since yesterday. That's really, even that here 150 million, that's nothing. So I don't know what exactly is behind, but doesn't look great. Yesterday they liquidated almost 1000, was it yesterday? Yeah, 1400 bitcoins was the and 300, almost 300 bitcoins in longs. If we check forward further, we can see the aggregated open interest recovering, leverage ratio declining more, and well, the funding rate maintains. So here nothing changed, to be honest. If we check Binance, also here looks very correlates very well what I have mentioned. Open interest lifting up a little bit, leverage ratio flat. So gamblers are not more playing, it seems, and the funding rate right now just in reducing, indicating they are demanding more shorts just because of the price action. And as mentioned, some people were just front running something. Usually it seems they had just access to the information just before something. I don't know. Blockchain whispers. Still more longs than shorts on Binance. Even the gap is reducing. We have 42 to 58. On Ethereum, more shorts than longs. And on Bitfinex, shorts reducing, it seems. So nothing big here. Let us check the Kingfisher chart. What is happening there? As usual, it takes a little bit. Yeah. Well, I mean, usually we should try to liquidate this part here. So indicating we should go hitting 16,000 because we don't have anything. So on the short side, I mean, even the liquidation, and that explains the open interest as well. So we had yesterday, if I'm right, almost 250 millions in liquidations volume. Right now we have 180. However, if we check that, that looks completely different. And I mean, we should go down hitting 16,500, and then we will see what's going to happen next. In my opinion, we should go back to 15k. That's what I think that should happen next, but I don't have a crystal ball. I still like to check every day the data and to see if something have changed, That's the difference between Matrix and TA. Matrix is a live indicator. It's always changing. And it's always giving you a better overview. TA, not really. So in my opinion, at least, of course, if you are using 5 minutes time frame, it's also very live. But if you are using 1 hour, for example, it's absolutely different. I'm using many times here also the 1 hour time frame for the matrix. and it gives me a much better overview about the market conditions. But maybe it's me, I don't know. However, we are done here as well. Let us go forward. So let us see how the markets reacted. We have Binance here, BTC USDT. We have their spot here, aggregated here, and that's crazy what they did, to be honest. But whatever. So Binance started to sell here. Also very interesting. Market traders started to sell here and bought the dip, and right now lifting up. We should be careful. Looks like a little bit like a dead cat bounce at the moment, so I would be very careful here. However, but they bought the dip, so they will start to distribute. Usually when we have such kind of price move, we have then such kind of channel, and we will have a breakout afterwards at a certain point. That makes sense because we had such a trend line, so we had our breakout, and now usually we should go up, retest that area, fail, and then go down once again. So just to mention, that's my bet at the moment. That's why I didn't introduce 50% of I just didn't went all in with my short, so waiting to get confirmed. If it's just a bear trap, for example, then we need, of course, to be absolutely careful. And so we can use the remaining 50%, for example, if we go a little bit more up, because I'm absolutely convinced we will go down. If not today, then next week, I don't care. But then I have enough funds to introduce more and to have a better liquidation price level and margin. However, so we can see what these guys did. If we zoom out a little bit, that's the maximum. We see that the trend maintains bearish on Binance with market traders. If we go to Bitfinex, of course, Bitfinex is doing absolutely the opposite. So while Binance started to distribute here, they started to buy. Then they distributed here a little bit, and still pushing up the price. I don't want to talk about Bitfinex because Bitfinex for me is very similar to FTX. I never have trade there. They never will have an account, my account there. I will never trade there. So, I don't like what these guys do. I have detected another 70 million USDT transaction from Bitfinex to Kraken, and that's usually what they do. However, so it's absolutely different. If we check and zoom out, also here we can see they are doing the opposite of Binance. Absolutely the opposite. That looks market traders there just buying more than selling. Kraken, oh, that's so incredible, did exactly the same like Bitfinex. I mean, just you can see that. So they pushed, and then afterwards reduced a little bit, and now coming back. So let us check here. You can see the difference between Binance, Kraken, and Bitfinex. It looks like a little bit Kraken is enhanced of Bitfinex at the moment. So they do whatever they want with them at the moment. That's how it looks like. And yeah, what should I say? Nothing. If we go forward, we see what Bybit is doing. So Bybit doing exactly the opposite. Bybit, it not even correlates very well, but doing almost the same like Binance. They started to distribute here instead. So they started to reduce, as you see, while the price was almost neutral. Then they start to push up. with the price, and they're right now distributing a little bit. That doesn't make any sense at the moment, but however, that's how it looks like what they are doing. So if we go, if we start to zoom out here a little bit, we see that Bybit in general is on the bull side. So their market traders are more bullish than bearish. They distributed well, they started to accumulate, to buy more afterwards. If we check, for example, Coinbase, we know that Coinbase is very bullish all the time. And also here we can see they did almost the same like Bitfinex. So if we check that, zooming out, it looks like, the trend was from here a little bit distribution, accumulation, big distribution, and accumulation. Accumulation or selling, buying more, because that's what CBD is saying to you. It's not automatically just saying, hey, I'm accumulating. It's market trades. It's not passive. It's not order trading. So if we check, for example, Bitstamp did exactly the same like, for example, Bitfinex. By the way, we did our retest and we need to see. It seems it's failing. So means we should go down afterwards. So step by step going down. So if we check what these guys are doing, Coinbase, Bitfinex doing exactly the same. Like Kraken, by the way, as well. So, okay, let us go forward and check what these guys are doing. Retailers, nothing at the moment, at least those with less than 1 Bitcoin. These guys here lifting up more. These guys here lifting up more. These guys here, I would say not doing anything. It looks like they are not doing anything. Well, as expected, market maker entities reduced. We have seen, and I have mentioned that we have seen, such kind of fund flows related to them. We will check them, and that usually means they are sending to centralized exchanges, OTCs, and so on and so forth. And this guy's here lifting up a little bit. If we check the fund flows, we received here, for example, 1,200, another 600, so almost, let us say 2,500. And here another 1,900, so almost 2,000 Bitcoins here, plus those 10,000 Bitcoins by miners. Also something we should have in mind. So if we check right now what the net flow is doing here, let us check, for example, here we can see that the net flow reduced. Even we have such kind of deviations. And whoa, what was that? And of course we can see here also deviations. For example, here, that's something I can show you here. We had one deviation here, another deviation here, and we had here one deviation. But in general, it looks like we have more inflows than outflows, and that matches very well to what we can see here, because as you see and mentioned yesterday, the trend is positive, indicating they are sending more Bitcoins, and also matches very well to the weights ratio as mentioned just in the beginning of this analysis. Yeah, and of course, give me a second. So I have seen how the big guys were starting to unload. Interesting. While at the same time, this guys here, the green one, was lifting up. So mainly, tiny orders, usually indicating algo trading and retailers are playing here a bigger role. At the same time, everything that was big, everything, 1 million to 10 million, 100 to 1 million, they started to dump and to unload. Even the really, really tiny, so retailers here, also the orange one, only the green one, 1,000 to 10,000 are mostly, it's at least my observation, mostly related to algo trading. The blue line still indicating distribution. So yeah, doesn't look great at all at the moment, once again, unfortunately. Also something that I didn't use yet, and usually I wouldn't care that much, but when I see that whales are sending crypto and cashing out in USD, so in fiat, then I think, oh my god. So it seems these guys are really cashing out and leaving the markets. It's not big. We are talking here about 22 millions in 24 hours. So I'm not really sure. I mean, they are making transactions 500K. Not sure about the whole volume, to be honest. So how many exchanges they are really covering. But sometimes I'm checking them. You can see here 170 million BTC 12 hours were sent to crypto exchanges. So they, for example, here because that's just the net flow, and that's absolutely very interesting that they sent also 170 millions in inflows. So also very interesting what they are doing here. We have here 12 of crypto exchanges, funds sent and sent to crypto exchanges. So they sent to crypto exchanges, they and that's the outflow, inflow, outflow. But of the last 24 hours, we had a net flow of minus 22 million, indicating they cashed out directly in fiat, not in stablecoins, while they sent, so that's the inflow, 16 millions, almost 17 millions in crypto, and a negative outflow of fiat instead. So indicating they are cashing out. It's inkblock.io, crypto whales. Not something I'm going to add every time to my analysis, but sometimes it's really interesting to see, because usually when whales wants to rebuy the dip, they cashed out in stablecoins and not in fiat. So also very interesting. So let us go forward. What we can find here, well, market activity looks extremely bad. It seems miners, they received Bitcoins once again. That's something I don't get at all. What happened here? Because we had yesterday almost 10,000 Bitcoins less in their reserves, and today in the morning we received 10,000 again, and almost, it wasn't really a big dip because they sold at 17,100 and they received at 16,900 or 800. I guess they mined it, and that's potentially the reason why they sold just before. That's my interpretation. I'm not a miner expert, so maybe one of you can bring some clarity here. Yeah, that's absolutely it here. Let us go forward. So Coinbase, nothing changed. We have here something waiting at 16,100, but the big wall is at 15.5, I would say. Otherwise, also like here, they are limiting the way up a little bit at 17.5. It's not really a limitation because they triggered this order before, so it would even be possible to go up, trigger it, and then go down once again, but it doesn't look at the moment like we will do that. However, that's why I didn't went all in, So I don't know what Deribit is doing, but they are, we have here a lot of shorts waiting between 19 and 19.5. On the other side, they removed a lot of liquidity to the downside, and longs waiting here below 14K. That's what we can see. On Bitstamp, Bitstamp also waiting here at 18,100, otherwise 19,800. Right now waiting here at 16.5, otherwise 15k. And they reinforced 13,400. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But they removed a lot of liquidity, shifted to the downside. So I wouldn't say that Bitstamp is the main indicator, but looks a little bit strange to me. Binance Spot. I have here, we can see extremely good what they did. So we were following this trend line since November 28th. So that's what the price did. So it was looking very good. So pushing and then maintaining here, and that was my decision where I said, that looks like breakout. So we had a break, we retested, and usually next should go down. So even if we maintain a little bit, following the trend line, afterwards we should go down. So we need to see how far they want to go. It seems we are not done yet, because otherwise they would stop with these orders. They are right now maintaining the price, buying passively, as you can see. So they are selling to these passive orders. And it's very controlled, because at the same time we have sell orders here. So indicating the next move should go up, maintain a little bit that area, and then we will go down or up. But I don't think so, to be honest, and not at the moment. Weekends, we know, it's almost a box of candles. Nobody knows what's going to happen next, but we have here a bunch of Bitcoins waiting to get sold. And on the other side, we have some limitations here, and that POC here at 16,500. Otherwise, they are waiting at 16k. Removed liquidity to the downside. Yeah. Yeah, not even here. So I don't see nothing big, to be honest. So they reduced and reinforced once again. They removed here at 15k. So 15k should be the next, in my opinion. But it will take time, and I don't think it's going to happen until Monday, but we will see. So I can imagine that over the weekend, even to liquidate a lot of shorts, they push up. So I would be extremely careful. That's why I say, don't go all in, be careful. So I don't think I'm going, even we retested now the breakout, usually saying, hey, we will go down because we failed, but I don't trust the weekends. So Bitfinex, also interesting, pushing the price down once again. Here a lot of sell orders waiting. If we check, yeah, much more, 20% more than buys. They want also here waiting on that POC here at 16,200, but they have something at 15.8, and until 14.8 nothing big at all. Instead, a lot of sell orders to the upside, while nothing to the downside. Really nothing. They just want to sell. It's I don't, when I take a look to Bitfinex chart, it doesn't look great, really not. So OKEX, nothing. Kraken, wow, they even removed 15k. Okay. Doesn't mean anything, because the last time when they removed, we went down. Like here, they removed, we had a gap here, the price went down. We had a gap here, the price went down. We have a gap here. Will the price go down? I guess so. So I'll also, once again, less buys, more sells. So yeah, my feeling that we are in a distribution schematic looks much more solid than the accumulation one, to be honest. So Bybit not doing anything, absolutely nothing. Bitmax reduced at 17.5, but at 15k. The next biggest wall would be at 30. Yeah. Binance futures. Wow. Okay, that looks crazy. Let us see. Yeah, much more longs waiting, almost 40%, 30% more. That's really crazy. Reinforced here at 19.5, 19, and so on and so forth. Like they want to short from here. So as mentioned, be careful with the weekend. Bitfinex derivatives, nothing. Kraken futures, nothing. OKEX futures at 15.5. OKEX swap. Oh yeah, they started to sell. Also waiting with 1,600 bitcoins at 16.4. And that's it. Also very strange. And at 20k. And Bybit USDT tether pair, yeah, nothing here. Okay, we are done also here.